feel for the campus that I don't think I could have gotten anywhere else. And that is to having a great ambassador give me a tour. And then the people on campus just had electric energy. And so I was able to decide that Fort Valley State was the place for me without even visiting Albany or Savannah. And that may be different for you, but that's just my story and my why I attended to Fort Valley State University. When thinking about applying to schools, you should definitely apply to schools that, one, have the major that you are anticipating to study. So it wouldn't do any good for you to go to a school that doesn't have the major in which you desire. You definitely want to stay on track for that. It's also important that you look at accreditation. Make sure that they are accredited in the areas in which that you want to attend and or study. As stated, this will be your home for the next 4 years. So it's important that you make sure that you make the right decision for you. You can't make a decision for your parents or your friends or anyone around you, but it's important to make that decision for you. As it relates to campus tours, we offer tours every day, Monday through Thursday during the summer at the 10 o'clock hour, and you can register on our website. After summer schedule, we do tours every day, Monday through Friday, at the 10 o'clock hour and the 2 o'clock hour. So if you have not had the opportunity to come down and view our beautiful campus, we encourage you to do that. Fort Valley State University is the second largest institution by acreage in the state of Georgia, and we currently sit on 1,365 acres of land. So Fort Valley is a lot larger than many people would give it credit for. Just because we're in the country doesn't mean we are a small institution. As it relates to virtual information sessions. So once you have completed your application to have been admitted to Fort Valley State, you'll complete what we call Enrollment 101. This gives you the opportunity to talk with your academic advisors as it relates to your class schedule. You do have the luxury of receiving your class schedule for you the first semester. Now, after the second semester, you will have to complete your class schedule on your own with assistance from academic advising, of course, but you would do that. And then once you graduate high school and get ready to come to Fort Valley, you will participate in a week-long lucrative new student orientation experience with some of our best campus leaders and faculty and staff, just to be acclimated and familiar with Fort Valley State University and our traditions and customs. Which leads to our next point, which is our alumni relationship. So alumni relations is a very big, important piece here on campus. I am a lifetime member of the National Alumni Association of Fort Valley State University, and that is in large part to being connected to many alum, both young and golden, as we like to refer to our older alum, because you can learn a lot from both age groups. So connecting with them early on, you will have many opportunities to connect with alum. We have several events on campus. As early as your first week, we have a alumni cookout on the Saturday of move-in week, so we can become familiar with your faces and get to know you early on. And so that is one of my favorite parts of attending Fort Valley, is the alumni connection that we have. Depending upon what your major is, you may never know who you meet. We have several lawyers, educators, doctors. We have people in fields that you probably would never even think of that would assist you in internships and completing things of that nature, even down to scholarships and things like that. So that completes my piece. I will now turn it over to Mr. Thomas, and he will talk more about the scholarships and internships.
All right, thank you so much, Garen. So good evening again, everyone. As Garen was talking about his experience here at Fort Valley State and some of the things that you all need to keep in mind as you're going through your college search, I realized that an important factor in your decision-making process is going to be scholarships and financial aid. And so I did want to take a moment just to talk a little bit more in detail about what options are available to you, what you should be looking for right now as you're going into your senior year, because I really do think there's some maybe falsehoods that are out there about how you should search or go about seeking scholarships. Many students put all of their eggs in one basket in trying to receive merit aid from a specific college or university. And I want to just repeat that. That is not the only way that you can earn scholarships, is directly from the institution. If you do, that's great. It's great if you receive merit aid, but there's so many local scholarships from different organizations right there in your own community, oftentimes that go overlooked. Garen just talked about our National Alumni Association. Fort Valley State's National Alumni Association has chapters all across the US. And so many of our alum love to give back to the university. And one of the ways they do that is through local scholarships. That's one way. Oftentimes you'll find that banks, utility companies, civic organizations in your neighborhood and in your community, they oftentimes have some type of scholarship available for incoming college students. If you hold a part-time job, I know a lot of students who work at restaurants like Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, they work at Walmart, they work part-time jobs while they're still, in high school. And oftentimes these employers will offer some type of either tuition assistance program or scholarship opportunity for students. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Then also when it comes to your financial aid, you want to make sure that you do not wait till the last minute to submit what's called your free application for federal student aid, otherwise known as the FAFSA. Each year that FAFSA will open up on October 1st. So you do not have to wait until, next summer when you're about to go to Enrollment 101 or come to campus for orientation. You can do that as early as October 1st of your senior year. Hopefully all of you end up choosing to come to Fort Valley State, but even if you are kind of still unsure when it gets to October, you can list up to 10 colleges on your FAFSA at one time. Okay, so you do not have to make a final decision about where you're going to attend college just to submit your FAFSA for financial aid. If you do it early, that'll make sure that you're not missing out on any eligibility for especially need-based grants that are oftentimes available on a first-come, first-served basis. So what will happen is once you've actually applied and been admitted to Fort Valley State, sometime later on in the spring, that's when our Office of Financial Aid will actually download your FAFSA and process it. And then eventually you'll get a financial aid award letter via email. So that's something you really want to keep in mind when it comes to scholarships and financial aid. It's just not waiting until the last minute. Even after you submit that FAFSA, you can oftentimes be selected for what's called verification. So there might be additional documentation that's required for you in order to get your financial aid disbursement. Before we jump into the next topic, I believe we do have another 2 truths and a lie, and I will turn it over to Aaliyah.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, we are back with another 2 truths and a lie. Let's see what we're working with today. Launching the second poll, it says, select whichever option you believe is a lie when it comes to organizing your admissions application. So some of you all, this may be a tough one, but we'll see what you got going. Let's see what we have. So do you think it's option 1, where it says, I can just create a spreadsheet to help me keep track of application requirements and deadlines? Is it option B, where you say I should set alarms in my phone for application deadlines? Or is it option C, my parent or guardian will organize my applications and all that stuff for me? Which one of these options do you believe is a lie? I'll give it a couple of more seconds. Before I reveal the results. All righty. Wrapping up the poll and revealing the results. It looks like a lot of you all voted for option C being the lie, and you are absolutely correct. We cannot rely on our parents and guardians to organize our applications and stuff, or financial aid award information, or getting your residence hall stuff together. There's so many elements of the admissions application process, and Alex is going to go into more detail about how you can keep that organized.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aaliyah. And so that's a great point about not relying on your parent or your guardian to organize your admissions application and all the documents in your college search. I can't tell you how often we get frustrated students and sometimes parents that come to our office. They're frustrated with the admissions process, and oftentimes we'll look back through our records and we'll see there's been simple mistakes like, oh, parent did an admission application for the student, but they ended up putting their sibling's birthday, or they put their sibling's social security number, or they accidentally, the parent filled out the application, put their own social security number. And so now their financial aid, their FAFSA has to go through a whole separate verification process just because a lot of these things can be caught if the student just does it themselves. So if you take the time out of your schedule, whether it be over the course of a few days or every week, if you just take the time out and sit down, look at the schools that you're interested in and organize your applications, that will serve you so much better in the long run. You'll feel a lot more ownership of your own decision-making process. And I feel like it will really, you'll reap, rewards once you actually get to college. You'll feel that independence once you hit the classroom. So that's something I definitely want to make sure everyone kind of understands about the college search process. Now, when it comes to your actual admission decision or your admission application, there's several ways that you can apply to college. Fort Valley State, we have two platforms that we're on right now for our admission application. One is through what's called Georgia Futures. And so those of you who attend a public high school here in the state of Georgia, you're probably familiar with the georgiafutures.org website. It's an easy way that you can apply to roughly about 40 different colleges across the state. You can also check your Hope Scholarship eligibility on the Georgia Futures website. It allows you to send your electronic transcript from your high school to different colleges. So you can do all of these things through one central website, which is great. The other platform that we're on is called the Common Black College Application, otherwise known as CBCA. So it is one application that you can complete for $20, and it gives you access to 67 different HBCUs across the US. So you only pay a one-time fee of $20, and you don't have to complete separate application to each school. So for students who know that they want to attend the HBCU and they're interested in several HBCUs, oftentimes that CBCA is a great option for them. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Also with the CBCA, it gives you the capability to have your school counselor upload your official transcript and your test scores into a portal. So that way the colleges that you're interested in can simply go into the portal and download your application and all your supporting documents. So it makes it really easy for people on my side of the desk, on the college side, to actually download your application and view all your supporting documents. So those are the two ways you can apply. There are other platforms out there that other institutions use, like the Common App, the Coalition app. These are just some of the most recognized and most well-known application platforms when it comes to applying to college. Now, something else you want to keep in mind is actually understanding what's required for your application. So even after you submit that online application through Georgia Futures or through the CBCA, you're still going to be required to make sure you submit your official high school transcript. And so for incoming freshmen, you want to make sure you submit that official high school transcript via email. So you can either have your school counselor email it directly to admissions@fvsu.edu, or like I said before, if you apply through Georgia Futures and you're a Georgia high school student, you can simply go to the Georgia Futures website and request it be sent electronically to us. Now, we are test optional. So if you have at least a 3.0 high school GPA based on the required high school curriculum, so that's only taken into consideration your core classes, then you can actually be admitted without test scores. So SAT, ACT scores aren't required if you have at least a B average right now in high school. Actually understanding the deadlines is something that's really important as well. So here at Fort Valley State, we actually have a priority deadline of December 15th if you want to be considered for our top scholarships. So I just talked a few minutes ago about merit scholarships from institutions. If you want to be considered for our presidential scholarship, you want to be considered for our Searchlight scholarship, if you live outside of Georgia, it's best that you apply before December 15th. So you need to complete your admissions application, submit your transcript, and then you also need to submit that scholarship application as well before December 15th to receive the best consideration. Oftentimes, I advise students to actually create a separate email account. So if you don't have a Gmail or iCloud account that you check on a regular basis, or maybe you just feel like you get a lot of spam, go ahead and create a separate email account specifically for colleges. So that way you have a central location that you're checking for all the correspondence when it comes to deadlines and offerings, application updates. That's something I would highly suggest, is making sure that you actually have a email account that you're going to be checking on a regular basis. Also, as you're filling out the applications, make sure that you're double checking to make sure all your personal information is correct. Oftentimes, I come across students who will use their nickname on their application. So no, that is something you should not do. We want to make sure you have your full legal name on your application. Make sure you're double checking your birthday, your mailing address, your phone number. You just don't want to miss out on any communication from the universities that you're interested in. So just making sure you double check that is super important. Now, our application right now is completely free. So if you apply through Georgia Features, there is no application fee. However, you may come across some admission applications where you can actually submit a fee waiver. So that's just something that you want to keep in mind, because next year, by the time you all start applying to Fort Valley State and other colleges, we might be charging an application fee. So just keep that in mind. If you do qualify for an application fee waiver through organizations like the College Board, which owns the SAT, or if you talk to your school counselor, they can probably provide you with a fee waiver as well. Just making sure you organize that is super important. And then last but not least, some of the other deadlines include the final deadlines. So we have a final application deadline of June 15th each year. You want to make sure you're not getting close to that, because keep in mind that additional enrollment steps like housing and financial aid, again, are available on a first come, first served basis. So the later that you waiting to the last minute to those deadlines, you're probably going to get service, or you're probably going to get some of your results at the last minute. You don't want to be left out missing on a scholarship opportunity that you otherwise could have received if you had just applied earlier. And at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Aaliyah so she can talk to you about the admissions decision process.
Thank you, Alex. Before we dive in, you all know we like to have a good time over here. We got another poll, another 2 truths and a lie that we are launching now. So we want you to select the option that you believe is a lie about the admissions decision process. Is it option 1, where it's like, after getting into the schools I applied to, I should weigh my options before committing to school or to any of the schools? Is it option 2, where after I've been admitted into the school of my dreams, I should check with the school to determine any next steps? Or is it option C, or 3, where I get denied from schools, that means I shouldn't go to college at all? We'll give it a couple more seconds. Let's see how sharp some of you all are. All righty, wrapping up the poll and revealing our results today. And it looks like the majority of you selected the correct answer. I got denied from schools. That means I shouldn't go to college. That is another lie. There's so many options. There's a diverse array of universities, both in the country and out of the country, that you all have, that just because one school or two schools or even three schools may deny your application, that does not mean that you shouldn't go to college. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as my grandma would say. We're not literally skinning cats, but there's multiple options to get to your final destination. So I'm gonna share my screen again. All right, moving on to our next section, which is all about the admissions decision process. And the biggest question that I'm sure a lot of you have is, what is the perfect student, right? What's going to get you into your dream school? And to be honest with you, there is no perfect student. We want you to be 100% of yourself throughout your application process as possible. We want you to be, like Alex mentioned, clear and concise. We want you to be detailed oriented. So try to avoid those mistakes he mentioned, making sure that it's your actual name, the right email, the correct phone number, making sure that your test scores are the correct test scores, making sure that your grades are in good standing with your high school, and that you're sending in those transcripts and sending in those required materials even after you get admitted into the university. So for example, with Fort Valley State, you can submit an application, but if we never receive your official transcripts, if we don't receive your SAT scores, then we can't provide you with an admissions decision. And after a certain period of time, you may even receive a denial letter, really because you haven't completed the application process. So make sure you're staying up to date with those deadlines and you're staying connected to those application requirements, okay? So what happens if you did everything that you were supposed to do, right? Your SAT scores were good and you did your great essay. For some institutions, just so you know, Fort Valley State doesn't require an essay. We'll just putting the plug in there. You've done everything, right? You were a part of all the clubs and organizations in high school, but you still got a denial letter. It's totally okay. Denial is not a final decision, right? It's not your entire future. It's literally a delay. I like to say more like a pivot. So for those of you who may apply to some schools and you may not get into your dream school, outside of selecting another institution, there are options like going to a 2-year community college, building up that undergraduate GPA, graduating with your AA degree. That way you can be a more competitive transfer student when it comes to positioning yourself as a leader in the application process. Also, there's also an opportunity, like for example, at Fort Valley State, if you submit those test scores and you retake those SAT and the ACT tests, there's some times where you can even appeal a decision, where you can say, hey, I applied months ago, right? And I'm ready for this next level. I'm ready. I've redone my test scores and here I am. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I've redone my test scores and here I am. I'm ready to try again. We'll reconsider your application as well. So make sure you are thorough and you also recognize that you're not going to get a yes to everything, but that's okay. That's not the end of your journey. This is just the beginning, right? It's just the next step and you can overcome it. Once you actually make that decision and you're like, I'm going to go into this institution, you want to make sure that you let the school know that you plan to attend. Fort Valley State has an intent to enroll form. We also have, like Alex mentioned, our housing application where you have to submit a deposit for your space. These are ways that you show your institutions that you're committed and you actually intend on going to the school. That way, if there's like a number cap from some students who the school may be allowing to enroll, you're a part of that group of students as well, okay? All right, well, that's all I have for you when it comes to admissions decision process. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the floor for some questions. A Q&A, but this time I'm not asking you the questions, you're asking us the questions. Feel free to drop some of those in the chat. I'm gonna stop sharing really quickly. I can't see you all. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. Okay, I got a question that says, how soon can I apply for fall 2024? These are the type of questions we want to see. Our fall 2024 application launches August 1st of this year. So you all, we're going to do it big this year. There's going to be a build up. We're going to send email reminders. So make sure that you stay connected to us. We'll show you our social media handles and all that great stuff at the end. But application for the fall of 2024 opens up August 1st. Perfect. Great question. So we have, good evening. What if you already have college courses from your previous college? Which means we might have a transfer student on the line. Alex, do you want to take that question?
Sure. So if you already have earned college credit, regardless of whether you are a transfer student or if you're currently enrolled in high school and you did dual enrollment classes, all you have to do is, after you've been admitted, make sure that you send us that official college transcript if you're in dual enrollment. Now, if you are a transfer student, you have to have at least 30 college credit hours and at least a 2.0 college GPA to be admitted to Fort Valley State. But once you submit that online application, all you need to do is just send us your official college transcript. If you have less than 30 credit hours, then go ahead and follow up and send your high school transcript as well. And then typically from there, you'll get a decision from us in about 2 weeks via email. Oh, and one last thing to mention about transfer students. Even after you've been admitted, it can take several weeks for your actual credits to be evaluated and what we call a transfer articulation to be completed. So that way you can actually see what courses are going to be accepted at Fort Valley State towards your Fort Valley State University degree.
Great add-on, Alex. This is why we love to remind you all in the college application process, the early bird gets the worm. So the earlier you apply to the schools, the more room you leave for caveats like awaiting to determine what courses may transfer, or even down to getting those transcripts in from your high school. Sometimes that takes time and you don't want to wait till the application deadline and you're competing for a space to just be requesting those items. Okay, so what are the minimum SAT requirements to apply? Does the SAT or ACT matter? Great question, Alexandria. So for the SAT, you need a minimum of a 480 in reading or the writing portion. And then you also need a 440 in math. For ACT, you need a 17 in math and then a 17 in the reading and writing. To be honest with you, at Fort Valley State, it doesn't matter which test you take. We want to see a test if you have that minimum GPA of a 2.25 up to that 3.0. But if you have a 3.0, you don't even have to submit SAT, ACT scores, as long as that core GPA, which is your 4 English classes, your 4 maths, your 4 science classes, 3 social sciences, and 2 foreign languages. As long as you have those core classes and that GPA is a 3.0, then you can get into Fort Valley State without even submitting SAT or ACT. But we don't have a preference. As long as we receive those scores, we can provide you with an admissions decision. Some schools, most schools don't have a preference. They, again, the same thing. They want to see you have those test scores. Now, while we don't require it for students who have that 3.0 or higher core GPA, I encourage you all to still take a jab at those tests, because some scholarships require you to have those SAT scores and ACT scores. So you just want to make sure you're giving yourself the support that you need to be competitive in the process. Okay, our next question from Aaron says, I have seen folks be admitted at college fairs. If I do a campus visit, how can I be considered early? Great. So when you've seen, oh, go ahead, Alex.
Oh, no, you can go ahead. Take it away.
Oh, I was just gonna say, when you see some colleges admitting students on site is what we call it. It's really based off of them meeting the minimum, at least with Fort Valley State, we look at your minimum core GPA, right? We do a GPA calculation, and if based off of that, you meet that minimum requirement, then we can give you a conditional admittance, right? Which means you have to submit an application. So if you don't submit an application, we can't actually admit you. And then the other part is we need to receive your official transcripts. And then we also have to receive those test scores if it's required for your GPA. So if you did do a campus visit, which we'd love to have you, we'll start again providing students for that fall 2024 semester with admissions decision, whether it's on spot or through them applying online after August the 1st.
Yeah. And just to add on to that, Aaliyah, if you want to come visit campus for a tour, you are welcome to bring your official high school transcript. And I'm the director, so I will tell you, and I know this is recorded. If you bring your high school transcript and you stop by our office and you tell Ms. Wallace or our staff, hey, I attended the Apply Like a Wildcat session. I have my transcript. I'm waiting to see if I can get a conditional acceptance. We can go ahead and evaluate you right there on the spot. So if you just completed your 11th grade year and you go into 12th grade and you already got your final transcript from your 11th grade, then yes, we can kind of go ahead and give you an evaluation while you're on campus this summer.
I love that you all are asking these questions because that means you're going to apply. Woo-woo. You're ready. I love it. So we have another question from Corey asking, is the application for August the same for dual enrollment? Great question. Sorry, yeah. So our August the 1st application is for those students who want to be admitted for the fall of 2024. Our dual enrollment application for the fall, I believe, opens in September, Alex?
So if you are interested in applying for dual enrollment for not this fall, but next fall, yes, that will be available probably by September 1st. But if you are referring to this fall, then technically deadline is already passed, but follow up with us. It's still time for you to apply. You need to do it as soon as possible though. But if you're talking about the fall of 2024, then yes, it will be after September 1st at minimum.
We have another question that mentions for transfer students. So what if we don't have the 30 credit hours, but also you have college courses that have been passed? And I think Alex touched on this. If you don't have the minimum 30 credit hours, we'll need your high school transcript. The next question we have is, do I need to do my FAFSA before I apply to FVSU? You can totally do your FAFSA before you apply to FVSU. If you, like Alex mentioned, through FAFSA, you can add on a bunch of different schools. I think he said up to 10. So go ahead and add Fort Valley State on there. That way we already have you in the system. So when you complete your application, that part of it or that portion of it is already done. The early bird gets the worm, y'all. Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Hey, Alex, what happens? You all told me I get my admissions decision in 2 weeks. It's been 4. What's going on? How do I know about my status? What do I do?
So you can check your own admissions checklist. So soon after you apply and you submit that online application in Fort Valley State, give or take about 3 business days for us to download it, put it in our system, you'll automatically be assigned a FVSU student ID number. So it's a 9-digit ID number that is specific to you, and you can use that to check your application status and see your checklist. So once you get the confirmation email after you submit the online application, you'll eventually get a follow-up email with your student ID number and a link to see your checklist. On that checklist, you'll see items listed like your official high school transcript, your lawful presence verification. So state policy requires every new incoming student to show some type of ID or document showing that they're lawfully present in the US. So it can be a Georgia's driver's license, a state ID, a US passport, for example, a birth certificate if you want to bring that to our office in person. But that'll be listed on your checklist in addition to other documents like your immunization form as well. But that's the easiest way for you to see what's actually been received. And so whenever you log into that checklist, if you see that we've received your application and your official high school transcript, but it's been 4 weeks and you haven't got a decision, then please reach out to us just to make sure that something else isn't needed, or maybe perhaps we got the wrong email address or something's falling through the cracks. So if it's been that long and you know that you've already submitted your application and your official transcript, but you haven't received a decision, then please reach out to us via email. We oftentimes have virtual hours from our admissions counselors. So there's multiple ways you can get in contact with us.
Okay, we got a couple more questions rolling in. The first one is, do we have an accommodations department? Yes, we do. We actually do have an accommodations department. They have a website and all.
Yeah. So if you know that you have an IEP in high school, or you have certain accommodations that have been made for you already, do not wait until the week of orientation till you hit campus. So after you've been admitted to Fort Valley State, you can visit our website. There is a access and accommodations form. So basically our staff won't know that you need any type of special accommodations until you raise your hand and complete that form. Okay, so federal law prohibits us from making you or forcing you to seek out accommodations. Okay, so you have to self-identify yourself and actually complete that form so that we know that you need certain accommodations. Because right now at Fort Valley State, we have students who get additional time to take their tests and courses. Some students have an emotional support animal right now. And then all of that is provided to them because they completed this access and accommodation form.
So we can kind of answer these two questions. These will be our last questions for the night. To schedule a tour, we book online. That was a question. And then the next question is, are there department specific tours available? I'm interested in animal science. Yes, and yes. You can book a campus tour online for Fort Valley State University. And our agriculture department does have campus tours where you can go into the labs and be able to actually see our animals, because we do have animals on campus, right? So we will put that link, or I'll follow up with everyone on this call via email with some special links that can kind of help you move on to the next step, okay? All right, I'm gonna share my screen just a little bit more. I got some resources for you all. Okay, so if you're on the phone, then you won't be able to scan this, but I'll send this presentation in a follow-up email as well. If you're interested in Fort Valley State, but you're not quite sure, we want to go ahead and help you seal the deal by providing you with more information on our history and some of the things that we stand for. So you can check out our fact sheet by scanning that QR code. You can also visit our admissions checklist now, just so you get an understanding of what it's going to be like for the next academic school year. Most of our requirements won't change, but it'll give you a general sense of what to expect, right? And then also, we work with the company called Encura that provides resources to students. So take a second and visit encourageme.com. They have a lot of blog posts and spreadsheets and things that can kind of help you navigate your college application process. They even have like a career guide. So if you're not sure what to major in, but you know what you want to do professionally or for your career, Encourage Me has a platform that you can use to kind of help you leverage or hone down exactly what your major should be as you're getting ready to commit and apply to colleges. So with that being said, you all, we love that you all were so excited to join. And because of your commitment in visiting us, we want to help you jumpstart your application process, especially to Fort Valley. So with that being said, everyone on the call gets a free FBSU application. You get an application, you get a free application. Alex mentioned it earlier, and we have it here. So we'll send you all a follow-up. We have your emails captured based on you all agreeing to join us. And then we can also see who logged in. So we'll make sure we stay connected. So now there's really no reason why you can't apply to Fort Valley State University. And there's no reason why we shouldn't see you in the Valley. So if you have more questions, because we only had an hour, feel free to reach out to us by phone. You can visit our website or you can email us. We're pretty accessible. If you're ever in the Fort Valley area or you're around the corner, down the street, feel free to stop by our office and come visit us. We love to see your faces. We love to engage with you all. A lot of us just have a passion for making sure you all get into that next level of education, and this is what we're here for. You can also follow us on social media at FBSU_admissions. We do giveaways, we post quick information. We also provide you with updates or anything on our application process so that you all can stay connected to us. So we love to see you in the Valley. And if all hearts and minds are clear, we're going to go ahead and close out this Apply Like a Wildcat. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you all later. Bye.